Sonic Movie Show is a weekly show that you can find on a variety of podcast services. Keep up with us by following our Twitter at Sonic Movie Show. What's up, Sonic movie fans, and welcome in the 75th episode of the Sonic Movie Show, the only show that's about Sonic news, movie news, and Sonic movie news. My name is Ethan. With me here, as always, is Devin.
Hey, ugly.
Wow, I gave you like 3 good quotes before we started, and you picked that one. Those quotes are from a 2020 movie that we watched today called Monster Hunter, as a part of our...
No subtitle, just Monster Hunter.
At watching video game movies. We're watching one from a long-ass time ago, the year 2020. Initially, let's take a step back here. We wanted to watch this movie when it came out, if it was safe. And it wasn't. And I made the prediction that this movie was like a Christmas Day movie, or like a...
Yeah, I think it was a week before or something.
Yeah.
December movie.
And I made the bold prediction of fucking January 1st. They're going to be like, shit, we failed. Put it on Amazon. Put it on Netflix. Put it, you know what I mean? Put it on Vudu, anywhere you can buy movies. iTunes, Google Play. I was wrong, but I mean, it's been out since, I think, mid-February, so I wasn't that far off, to be honest.
It had a good month run. Probably no one saw it, and they're like, hey, so... can we put this on streaming services or something?
Right. It lost China too, remember?
Yeah.
It's one, they are very lazy, like, contextually racist joke. Just destroyed an entire half of their market. You know what I mean? Like, we talked about that in our episode Monster Hunter Woes, where we talked about just the lazy racism from a trailer. Or I guess, no, just part of the movie, because it wasn't in the trailer. And I actually was kind of looking for them, like, are they fucking ballsy enough to just keep it in there?
Like the first 5 minutes, I'm just like, because I remember in the trailer, it was like when they were kind of like messing around in the desert, and I was like waiting, and then they must have cut it just completely, because they had much worse comedy in the beginning, at least.
When you say messing around with the desert, I have no idea what part of the movie you're talking about, because that's the entire movie.
So the beginning when they're in Baghdad or whatever
I know.
country that has oil.
Well, I will point out 2 things before we start to dissect the movie. Positives, or at least in terms of trying to make their money, there is no indication that these are U.S. troops. And when she's speaking to Ron Perlman, I mean, yeah, but like there is none. You know,
do any of them have accents that suggest that they're from some...
You know what I mean? You know what I mean, though, right? They don't specifically say, because all these fucking movies are like, there's Transformers. I was born in Brooklyn.
I'm just saying, based off
blah blah blah. There's that, and then when she's talking to Ron Perlman, she just says, "You speak my language," so that when they throw subtitles on or when they
speak
dub
American.
over it. It can be any other country that they do it for, because this movie is trying to make as much money as possible. And oof.
But it's definitely America, all right?
I mean, yeah. But,
Who else in the desert like that? Who else in the desert and speaking with American
white
accents?
Who else that's white in the desert with weapons,
And T.I., a sexual predator or whatever.
Is he really?
Like recently, like within the last month, he's been supposedly involved in sex trafficking. He's also the same dude.
Fuck.
He's also the same dude who forced his daughter to get checked to make sure she's a virgin. Just a weird motherfucker. Prior to these allegations, just was weird and awkward.
Well, at least that man dies, so...
That's all. Yeah, now, the whole time I'm just like, man, this is not good. This is not good. Like, that took me out of it for the first 25 minutes until he's dead, and I'm just like, good.
Well, like the other woman in there, and then there's another guy. They just run away, and we just never see them. You would imagine they get just run over by spiders, but like...
Well, one of them, no.
I was still expecting
one
her
of
to
them's
keep
in the web, and the bugs come out of her or whatever.
Oh, really?
I think.
No,
one of them's in a web at one point.
Whatever.
Can
I? Okay.
I was going to say before we start though, we're not doing the plot. I know sometimes we do the plot, sometimes we don't. I feel like for this one, we don't need to do verbatim the entire.
We can do sections. We can chunk the movie. but I ain't going like piece by piece. I will say right now, we're gonna spoil this movie. Obviously, we already kind of did. Sorry,
T.I. dies.
But, I mean, yeah,
he has an op
Um,
at one point, which also made me laugh.
I was actually kind of expecting you to disagree with me, but I can tell we're already on the same tone. This movie sucked. This movie was not good. And I will say, here's my thinking. I'm watching this movie, and up until maybe there's more people in like she's around more people, maybe up until there, the whole movie I'm like, man, am I having deja vu, or is this a 2001 video game movie? Just a basic,
maybe because
tangentially related plot, very low budget in terms of our environment, where we're shooting, and what the problem is just we gotta kill the video game thing. You know, like this just felt old.
Maybe because the director has directed all old video game movies at this point.
Right?
You know, like he doesn't know what else to do.
He doesn't give a fuck about trying to actually consider what's the actual stories or plots in the games he's doing these for. I mean, like, I'm not a big Monster Hunter fan. We both played World for quite a bit. We didn't get too far.
20 hours tops.
That game we would have played that game more if it was like, hey, you can do the story stuff together. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because then it was homework where we're like, all right, we both need to get up at least mission 15. Then we could play more. You know what I mean? Like, that was boring. So like, that's the only one we played. I've seen people play the 3DS games. And I know it was really popular on PSP before that. And I know Monster Hunter Rise is coming out, and there's a demo, and people are excited. There's new, like, stuff. So knowing the few things I know besides World, I can tell you right now, like, this movie is just, like, has nothing to do. Like, yeah, the monsters are there, but, like, even then, like, the games always present them like nature, not necessarily, like, we need to exterminate them, or God, you know what I mean?
All the things are bad. This just seems,
like,
if you didn't call it Monster Hunter, granted, there is some Monster Hunter things, I think, towards, I feel like this movie switched halfway through to trying to be more Monster Hunter. The beginning was, like, on the pirate ship there. I thought that was cool. I'm like, okay, this is different. And then, like, it's just the military, and then it's just her. I don't really care about her too much.
Most of the movie is her and I don't know his name, but the other guy,
the hunter,
fighting Diablos.
Tony
paused
who actually was in Fast and Furious 7, and I didn't realize until halfway through. I'm
Wait,
like,
who was he in?
He's the what's his name? I forgot his character's name. He's in a bunch of martial art stuff, which makes sense. Because I think that was one of the few bright spots. I think some of the like fight sequences.
Was he in like the Dubai Tower scene stuff?
Let me double check for you.
It's been a minute since I've seen 7. Obviously,
he's Kiet. I think he's one of the bad guys. I'm pretty sure he's one of the bad guys. He's in it though.
I paused after they killed Diablos. And kind of like wandered through the desert.
He's the dude with
no
he has like
and it was like
the tribal tattoos.
Okay, it was like 2/3 of the way through the movie. Most of the movie is spent doing that, which feels very early 2000s video game movie. And then all of a sudden it's like there's a big wide world and we're going places. Here's different biomes, and I'm like, oh my god, like this should have been the movie. You know what I mean? Cut because this movie. Again, 2001 era, way too much time spent on the horror aspect of this new world and just slowly being picked off one by one. I don't care. Have them all get killed immediately except her. I don't care.
We're soldiers.
Just the banging on the truck. I don't know if that even picked it up. But you know what I mean? Like, who cares? Skip this shit.
Honestly, if this movie did come out in 2001, people would love that shit. They're like, fuck yeah, we're in fucking Baghdad.
Well,
hell yeah. Oh shit, there's monsters now. But you know who the real monsters are? Al-Qaeda. We better fucking kill them all.
Oh. Yeah, exactly. Oh, you know there would have been a joke like, I guess Saddam sent you too, huh? Stupid shit.
If there would be, that would... I wish they still said it.
There's like towns and stuff in the games.
Yeah.
It's just, this makes it seem as if there's nothing in this world at all. except the desert and like this crew of pirates
in a rainforest,
right?
With an evil fantasy tower that has,
which is not in the games to my knowledge at all. That just
maybe it's like in an old game or something is like a plot point. I don't know, but
like the games date back to the PS2, and I know like once they went to PSP, like there was a big switch. I think in terms of like, you know, the gameplay became way more multiplayer focused, and it was like, you know what I mean? It just swapped. So maybe there's a remnant in like the PS2 era Monster Hunter, but no, yeah, you're right. Like this. It's just weird. It's a weird fantasy. It's like a freaking.
And what's funny is I feel like I actually liked the second half way more. At least like there was moments where I was more entertained, or there was like fun action parts, like when they're
the Palico.
Yeah, the Palico. When like they first encounter the dragon, and like they're all getting like their weapons out and looking badass, and I'm like, thank you. This is what I was here for, and you didn't do this until the end, towards the latter of the film. Like the beginning part is like they have guns. I'm like, no one has guns in Monster Hunter. At least not like that. Not machine guns or like bow and arrow, or maybe they have like some sort of like one-shot pistol, I'm sure.
Well, they have like the big blow tube cannon things as a weapon you could use, but it ain't a gun. Obviously, this is fish out of water stuff. I get it. And what I hated is the fact that she knew none of their fucking guns worked. So then why did she want to run back there after she finds, what's his name, to go back to the
only things that kind of worked were the nades a little bit, but
explosives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These fucking like 4-inch thick, 4-inch long like military rounds apparently don't penetrate the hide, but a simple grenade can be like,
I feel like they could have explained it better, just been like almost like diamonds. Like only a diamond can cut a diamond, right? You can't.
Right.
So like their skin is like diamonds or something. It's out of this world. You wouldn't understand, but it's diamonds. Trust us.
The thing that this movie doesn't do that the games are is that all your weapons are from the monsters. Obviously, maybe you could tell, like, gee, that's a weird fucking sword. Did you get it? It looks like there's teeth on it. Maybe you could like infer that if you didn't play the games, but like the whole point is that like, yeah, you're using the monster parts to kill more monsters. And
I don't know what came first, though. By the way, like someone had to kill the first monster.
I mean, everyone's a trailblazer, you know what I mean? Pioneers, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly think we could skip like most of this movie up until when her and the hunter kind of become buds. Ranger, Hunter. IMDb says Hunter.
Of course, because he's the monster hunter.
Yeah. And I like some of those scenes. I like how they fought a couple times, and
yeah.
I thought the CG was good for the monsters up until that point too. I like the spiders, even though I will say when we were watching the trailer, like we kind of predicted at least the first 30 minutes that they get in the wrong world and then they get attacked by a monster. Well, I was not expecting there was to be a whole spider hive, which I kind of dug. Remind me of like Shelob.
Weird little fun fact: there's no spider monsters in the games until the brand new one that's coming out.
So maybe that's why they did it to kind of hype it up a little bit. But like I like that, and then I did like when it was her by herself with him. I didn't like when it was just her trying to survive. I didn't really care. Like she had this thing with the wedding ring that she'll be back home, but they never touched upon it after like the 40-minute mark. They never talk about it again.
My inference is that for some reason, this is what's the director's name? W.S. Anderson, something like that.
Yeah.
My thinking is in his mind, he needed to show the wedding rings so that she can be quote unquote off the market, so you don't think that the two of them are going to have a romantic thing going on. That's the only thing I can think of.
And you don't even have to do that, by the way.
Well, obviously,
you know what I mean?
maybe that's the
that's
thought
2001 thinking that
it's true.
Hey, she's probably single. Also, because we got to remember, I believe it's Paul. Yeah, it's him and Mila Jovovich are married in real life. So maybe it's another way of being like. Just so you remember.
Yeah.
That's my girl right there on the screen. You see her?
I'm putting her through hell.
I'm putting her through hell, and she loves it. It's like that's like their weird kink thing that they like. She's like, throw me through a fucking.
Well, she
fire.
was excited about this movie, and I'm like, cool, you get to do more like
Action.
acrobatic stuff.
Yeah.
We haven't seen all of her movies. Obviously, for the show, we've only seen the first 2 Resident Evil so far. We'd like to see more. So this is, I haven't seen Resident Evil: The Final Chapter, or whatever it's called, which I think was her last video game movie, I'd imagine. So for, I don't know how she is there, what she's done, but like there was some cool acrobatic stuff. It takes a good bit so you can see once they have different weapons, actually seeing them swing them like you do in the games. Like when Hunter there, he swings the sword by turning around and then hacking down. I'm like, that's one of the moves. Because the whole things that the games do is just like Dark Souls or whatever. Your attacks have long animations and you need to commit to them. That's what's cool about it. You really got to make sure you wanted to do this. And like they were kind of showing it a bit in the movie. I liked that.
Yeah, they did that one training session with like the 2 swords there, the 2 daggers, and like they kind of like sparked. And I thought that was cool. I was hoping one of them would have a shield and a sword because that's the one I used in Monster Hunter World was that combo. Yeah. So I was waiting for someone to have that because I know they like that later on in the film they have the side characters there who have like that look like they have the other weapons in the game that I personally didn't play, but it looks like those sets of weapons.
In World, I had an axe that turned into a sword, like it transformed or something like. Because there's ranges, right, of like how strong it can be versus how mobile it can be, right? Mine was like kind of in the middle, where it was like an axe that turned into a sword. And we didn't see any transforming weapons, but it was. This movie took place in the desert the whole damn time, and we joked that, oh wow, isn't it weird that like we can clearly see the beginning of the movie they're in the desert, and we can clearly see them learning everything and fighting the monster in the desert again. Wouldn't it be funny if this new movie takes place in the desert the whole damn time? And
it pretty much does up until like the last 20 minutes or 30 minutes maybe. I
mean, really though? I mean, like the desert surrounds that tiny splotch of forest. Does that really count as not desert? They don't do anything there. Yeah. The tower's in the desert. It's
more of like an oasis at that point. Yeah, I mean, like they had moments when, like I said, I'm like, okay, I like where this is going now, and then all of a sudden it's the end of the movie, and I'm like the very end was like the biggest blue balls of all the video game movies we've seen so far.
I wanted to see that.
Yeah, they're like they do all the cool moves, and they're like, let's go, like it's like Power Rangers or some shit, and they're like, it's like charging at them, and then it ends, and I'm like, are you serious? Like I'm like, this is like I feel like they were built. I will give them credit. Like they feel like they built up the fights. Right, each fight I feel like generally got bigger. Besides the first one when they're getting chased, but in terms of them having like a chance, right? I feel like they were slowly building up. They were figuring out how to beat these monsters, which I thought was cool. Granted, it's not verbatim, but in the video game, you have to learn what kills these monsters. You learn after you kill them what their weaknesses are. So if you hunt them again, it's easier for you. So I thought that was cool. That like in a way they're kind of going back to that, where like they need to figure out, they need to see what ways they can kill it and what weapons they can use off it. Like they use the poison off the spider or the venom rather.
They were crafting,
and I thought that was cool. And like right when I'm like they killed the dragon, I'm like, okay, that was pretty cool. But now they're like we got to fight another one. But this time we have the full squad. I'm like, hell yeah, they're gonna beat the shit out of this dragon. And then like they cut it, and I'm like,
I had a feeling since this thing looked uninteresting. Oh, this is just gonna be they're gonna cut it here. But like this would be as if like you spent the first Avengers movie the whole time slowly building up the squad, and then they're about to go fight together, and we cut it. Like,
could you imagine if they cut the Avengers right when, like, that the honestly the famous scene where like they finally all like land in that, like, and they do like the camera does like a full pan around them.
Yeah.
What if it just did that? And they're like, and Captain America's like, Avengers assemble, and it cuts.
Right.
That would be so bullshit.
Oh my god.
Because that movie's fine. I'm not gonna go fully in it, but that movie's like fine, and then it gets. I think that's where it gets good. Is right that last like 25-30 minutes of that film where it's just action. That's where it's like, hell yeah, this is Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were like, I'm like, this is Monster Hunter, and you just didn't do it.
Exactly.
Like, why? I get you're trying to maybe set up a sequel, but we saw that with Warcraft, and that was a failure. They're really like that's ballsy to be like. It's different. Like it goes back to the Sonic thing. It's not as ballsy to be like, here's Tails at the end as Easter egg. If this movie we may ever make a sequel, it's whatever. You kind of make up your own thing of what happens. This it's like this big battle. The fate of the two worlds is on the line.
But was it though?
They made it seem that like, oh, like if we don't stop them soon or something. I don't know. There was like some general like you won't get back.
Here's my issue. This movie sets up no lore or history about this other world. In fact, we don't see any civilization at all, ever. Ron Perlman shows up, later in the movie, and it's like, "There's Dark Tower, not the Stephen King movie, but this Dark Tower is like connecting the worlds, and there's ancient civilization stuff like there." So we were gonna go over there and beat it up, but then we got attacked, so I had to so now we're gonna go. Cool. Like, to me, there was no pressure. It could have been you could take your fucking time, come back in a year when the season's better. You know what I mean? Take your time, right?
There's I don't know.
Because for a sequel bait, you need oh man, if we ended in the cute little village that's down the road, they might get stampeded, or oh no, they awakened a big beast nearby the big kingdom. There's nothing.
Or they destroyed the tower and it opened it stopped the gate, but then now she's stuck there, and there's also this 3-headed dragon or some shit. I don't know, just something a kaiju, just something crazy. You know what I mean? At this point,
I don't care about any of them except her and the hunter.
Yeah,
because
I cared more about the hunter. I thought the hunter was so much more just interesting and fun, and he was funny for the most part. You know what I mean? So
they don't have a squad together. I don't honestly none of them have names. You pull up IMDb. Or not IMDb. Well, I watched on Amazon Prime Video. The X.
Yeah, Ron Perlman's the admiral.
Okay, whatever. Right? But I saw...
T.I. says Lincoln, and it says as tip. T.I. Harris.
There's a handler, from the games. Every hunter has a handler that helps coordinate their stuff that they're about to go on, their missions or whatever. That was cute that they, at least threw a character... like that. I liked the Palico.
That's his rap name. Okay, never mind. That makes more sense. Never mind. Keep going.
I liked the Palico. I liked the fact that they showed the cooking sequence, because at least the recent games really up into showing these cats going ham cooking like crazy. Here's a 40-second cutscene of these cats cooking and really trying to be perfectionists about it. I like that they did a very shortened version of that. It made me like the Palico more than anyone else there, because it had a personality.
And then guess what? That was the end, the mid-end credit scene too. It was just that he shows up with the chef knife.
The fucker flirts with her. I thought that was cute. And obviously it wasn't but it was cute. I don't know.
Yeah, there's like I said, this movie wasn't good, but there's moments where I'm yes, you're doing what I was thinking this was supposed to be doing, but it's kind of too late. But hey, maybe this is going to wrap up in a really cool way. And you just cut it off. That was a really big buzzkill. I'm I sat through, I will say at least this movie wasn't, I was worried this movie was going to be a 2 hours, 10-minute kind of thing. I'm it's an hour 43. So yeah. I'm at least it wasn't.
At least it's not wasting her time too much.
Yeah. I feel the first 30 minutes was a waste of time. I feel they could have put that in 10 minutes. They could have been
sure.
She could have honestly woke up in the the jungle or the desert, and it's just a quick flashback where she's it was her talking to them or something, and then she thought it was an explosion, and all of a sudden she's in this world. She maybe she's did I die? What is this? Just
kill all of her teammates right away, and then you can honest to God, you could have her and Hunter kill the Diablos in the first 15 minutes by accident or luck or something. Now he's going to show.
And then there's more of them,
a little bit of their ways.
Something like that. It was a tough fight, but they beat it.
Then you skip to more of the second half and expand on it to make that I almost said 143 minutes, an hour and 43 minutes. One of my big issues, you never really get a good look at any of these monsters. There are plenty of scenes with them in it, but there is never a moment where the Rathalos lands and it's really easy to see all of the color. He's supposed to be red, right? The Rathalos is red-ish. on like the outside scales and all that. You don't get a good shot where like in a video game or something it lands and you get like this, not an aerial, but like you just get a really good look at what he looks like and all that. The closest they get to that is when it's dark and rainy, and I'm like, this could be anything. My eyes aren't the greatest, but like this could be any dragon. It's kind of hard to tell. Like that's what, and I don't want to relate this back to like Marvel movies because God, I don't like the fact that like that is a benchmark now for cinema. For when
keep in mind that the budget is Marvel. 60 million.
Okay. I mean, they CG the animals in there. They could easily just make them stay on frame in sunlight. But yeah,
maybe it wasn't that good looking. But that's the thing, is at the point where we're like it was in sunlight, like the one that was in the sand there. I don't remember what it was called. The dinosaur in the sand that digs. Diablos. Like they showed that plenty, and I thought that looked good. You know, so like I'm like, why aren't they show? Maybe it was like rushed at the end. They're like, because that was the one critique of like Godzilla, the latest Godzilla movies that. Or the first one was like, oh, it's in the dark, and it's like probably because the CGI budget wasn't as big, so they have to kind of mask it with darkness. It's harder to see, so you can make it as blurry, whatnot. And then they did the same thing with King of the Monsters, and that was another like people were like, but you did it again. You said you wouldn't do it, but you did it again. And I feel like a lot of these monster movies now that like are like fully CGI just use rain because they'll get like the general person won't think about it, but in reality, I think it does just help editors or the animators be like, hey, like if this isn't perfect, it's moving so quick and it's rainy, it's foggy, it's dark. Yeah. The creature's black too, so like, you know what I mean? So I feel like it could have been it. The holes that like it makes it easier, which sucks.
Just disappointing though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It sucks, but
for these types of movies, like. These big summer blockbusters in December, but these big summer action blockbusters,
COVID blockbusters,
they're all in the same category. When you're trying to start something new, even if they never intended on making more Monster Hunter movies, but it's just like a new-ish idea, so to speak. You really gotta like treat it with care. Really shoot for the fences with it. Make people want to see it. What? How much money has this movie made?
According to IMDb, it says gross in the USA is $14 million.
I see one worldwide, $29.8 million.
I see. Oh yeah. Cumulative worldwide gross, $28 million. Oof.
Yeah.
Oof. That's like real bad. That's yeah. Okay. Let's say we give it a high of like it makes 50,000. It's a 10 million loss. Would you make a sequel? Do you blame COVID? I don't know. I mean, to be fair, we saw basically
saw Bloodshot.
Bloodshot is getting renewed for a sequel, and it didn't do well financially.
It's the easy excuse. Be like, oh, we would have done better, you know.
And I think that might have been true, honestly. Especially with how big Monster Hunter is right now in North America. I don't know. I go back and forth. Every time I'm just like, I think it's big, then it might not be as big. You know,
the time to have this movie come out was like the year the World came out, because that's when it was huge. I think people kind of are like off the Monster Hunter train because Rise is a Switch game and it's not new and exciting because, like the games hadn't been on console since the Wii. Or, actually there was one on Wii U, but it was also on 3DS and no one had a Wii U. And like no one wanted to play, a big mature game on Wii, so really PS2. So it was the PSP and then the 3DS games. World was the first one on big boy consoles in quotes, the PS4 and Xbox One. Like that actually made it a thing for us, you and me, and so many people. And then to us, it was like a new thing, right? And it was fun. I don't know if a lot of people are like, I'm ready to play more though. I think we got our fill. I think a lot of people.
So it wasn't like it wasn't a groundbreaking experience. It was fun to play with someone, and then
it was challenging
at moments,
and cooperative, and it was.
But it wasn't something that was like, Ethan, I'm gonna grind tonight, dude. I'm like, you're like, I'm gonna go to bed. I'll be like, I'm gonna stay up another 3 hours. I'm gonna grind. Like, no, like.
It had its moments where we were
like I was doing that with Apex Legends sometimes. Like that's the difference with me. It's like, I'll play 1 extra hour. All my friends went to bed. I'm gonna play 1 extra hour to get some more reps in. You know what I mean? Like, and then this, it's like, I'm like, yeah, it's fun, but like,
I don't know.
but
We
it goes
fell
back.
off of
It goes
but
back though. Like, I think it would have been better worldwide, at least, like in China, and
if they didn't fuck it up.
they didn't fuck
I
it
mean,
up.
that's a good
but-
excuse too. It'd be like, well, we made a mistake, so obviously, quadruple the number, and that's how much money we would have made. Please renew us. But I mean, this movie had like more production company logos that I think I've ever seen in a
I mean,
movie.
Toho was even.
I'm like Toho and Tencent, and like
Yeah.
these are all like who like how many fingers are in this pie? You know what I mean?
That's not a good thing. You know what I mean?
No. Tencent is like the biggest Chinese entertainment company in the world. Toho is a big Japanese entertainment company.
Yeah.
There's American companies in there. There's ones I've never seen before.
Yeah, there's a couple ones where I'm like, hey, that was a cool like.
AB squared? What the fuck is AB squared?
I don't know.
So like who knows, right, if this movie's gonna get another one. I think Paul W.S. Anderson is probably able to kind of just do whatever. I think he owns his own company. What was it called? It started with the C.
Capcom.
But
just kidding.
yeah, he does not own Capcom.
I mean, Graham, we haven't seen the other Resident Evil movies, but like my one thing I'm like worried about too is like, not worried about for me, but maybe worried for him, is that like, are these movies ever really good? Are you actually a good director, or do you just people like let it like is it do you just make movies that are just fun enough that like people are like yeah I love the Resident Evil movies?
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I'm not saying there is, but I'm saying like at some point though, if like you drop stinkers like this and they don't do well financially, at some point your career,
Yeah.
like
Well,
Resident Evil, the first Resident Evil
movies
movie
all made
was
money.
the first Resident Evil movie was all right. Remember? And like the second one was all right.
That first Resident Evil movie made over $100 million, though, and this one's not going to reach 40. So, I think like but
I'm saying all of it like once again COVID and whatnot, but still like the fact that we came away from this movie being like, and all the cool parts you cut short or didn't elaborate on. I don't know. It's just like it makes me nervous though.
Training?
It makes me nervous that like I see the resemblance of this in like you're saying. Oh, it feels like an early 2000s movies because like Resident Evil was like his first big film, I believe, and that felt like an old 2000s movie, and that's what made it kind of cool and vintage. I feel like at moments. But I'm like, that makes me nervous that we're gonna watch the rest of these Resident Evil movies, and it's gonna be the same shit, and it's gonna make it
well. At
worse
least we're
and worse
spacing them out.
At least.
uh,
I mean, I feel like I'm shitting on them, but that's not my. I wasn't going in tonight thinking that, but the more I think about it, I'm like, damn, we're gonna watch all these Resident Evil movies, and the first two are kind of similar in terms of just like, here's a loose plot, loose characters. Some are important, some aren't, I guess. And I guess the same thing with this, where I just felt like it was the same idea of just like, here's a loose plot, sure, let's go with it.
Ooh, okay. I'm listening to what you're saying. I just want to point out, guess which awful movie this man directed between the first two Resident Evil movies.
Between? What awful
you're
movie?
not going to get it.
Just say it.
Alien versus Predator.
Dude, that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. Dude, he has a style to him, and it's just like making these... I'll give him credit. He knows how to make a good action, like in terms of like combat. He knows how to like put the camera in the right spot, show just enough of like the combat so it feels real and organic. But the stories aren't good. The characters aren't good. So now you gave me 3 movies. We haven't seen the rest. Like I said, we haven't seen the rest of the Resident Evil movies. Maybe they'll surprise me. But just based off these 4, I feel like I already got a general idea of how his work is, and it's just, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm a fan. I liked Resident Evil more than all of those combined, but I have actually watched Alien vs. Predator way too many times as a kid growing up.
Oh, God.
But, like, that makes so much sense, dude. I also heard, I know we talked about this before. I don't know if we talked about it on air, but I remember there was also like a someone like died or got hurt on set or something, and like he refused to like pay for their something.
Oh, right.
I don't know the details of that, and I was scared to look it up because I'm like, shit, we're gonna watch all these we have to watch Monster Hunter Resident Evil. I'm like, do I want to go down this rabbit hole? But since we put T.I. on blast, I feel like we have to keep put him on blast.
Wait, okay. I thought IMDb was lying to me. I'm still listening to you.
No, you're good.
I thought IMDb was lying to me because there's no way this man also directed that first Mortal Kombat movie.
Makes sense again.
He did.
Why didn't we realize? I'm looking now.
It's just under a different name instead of Paul
he
W.S.
wrote
Anderson,
or he directed
Paul
Event
Anderson.
Horizon, which I haven't seen, but like The Three Musketeers was a producer.
Whoa! Why didn't we mention this, or why didn't we see this in the first episode? I mean, granted, we didn't, I guess, know him in quotes because we saw Resident Evil after Mortal Kombat. Maybe we wouldn't have put it two together, but
he did that death race. He also did that death race, like
all four of them.
Oh yeah, you're right. His
So
biggest
weird.
one is Event Horizon, I think.
In any case,
That makes so much more sense. This makes it like now, like it all makes sense to me. Like now I know from here on out, any movie directed by him, it's going to be a all right action movie with little to no character development, a loose plot that won't be that entertaining or interesting, or even like unique in any ways.
he made a better movie in 1995 than 2020.
Mortal
Kombat was a better movie.
You're
than
saying
this.
Mortal Kombat's better than that? I'm a Mortal Kombat stan, and like I don't know if I agree. That movie's
I feel like
goofy
there's
treasure.
characters that are maybe not super engaging, but they have character to them. There's story. There's story in that movie. I didn't care for that movie all that much. I thought it was corny as hell. But this movie is bad. That movie was bad, but like had a little bit of charm to it. This is like, we need money. We're gonna make a licensed movie. You know?
God
Weird.
damn.
And I don't know if I would say this is worse than Resident Evil or better than the first Resident Evil.
I liked Resident Evil. I didn't love it, but I liked it. I can appreciate it for what it was at the time. I think it was he definitely grew, I think, as a filmmaker from Mortal Kombat to Resident Evil for sure. Like in terms of just on-screen products, craftsmanship.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's if we're just looking from Monster Hunter to Resident Evil to Monster Hunter, I don't see much growth. Personally, I don't know if that's a hot take.
I guess he's making.
I don't like to hate. I like to give. I believe everyone has their own style and whatnot, but like I don't know, man. I don't know. They're fun, and I guess that's all that matters in a movie. But just like what my beefs I have with all these movies, now I know where the reasons lie. I know where it all stems to, and it's Paul W.S. Anderson. Maybe it's
so weird.
I mean, maybe like he's the video. Maybe like 50 years from now, when video game movies either blow up or there's just more of them, whatever it is. In a way, he is like one of the pioneers of video game movies.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, he's a pioneer.
Whether I like his work or not at this point.
In order to,
he's been there from the beginning, in a way.
I mean, if scrape off of existence from history, the video game movies this man has done. Now, granted, it's really just Mortal Kombat and then a video game franchise and now Monster Hunter, but like scrape all those out, and I think it would be harder to justify making a Tomb Raider movie. You know what I mean? So like, it's just one of those things where it's like, you just need people to keep doing it, so that it feels financially safe for a company to give it to like a Guillermo del Toro or someone. You know what I mean? Like, I
mean, to be fair, Steven Spielberg tried to do a video game-esque movie, and I didn't see it, to be frank, but I didn't hear good things. So,
well, the book it's based off is also trash. So
I mean, like even the best directors, or at least the legendary ones that people say or who are legendary, drop stinkers. Maybe a couple here and there.
Yeah.
Maybe back to back. So like, like I said, I might not like Paul W.S. Anderson's work in terms of story, characters. At least he could make a fun action movie, and I think Monster Hunter is just another one of those for under his belt. But it's nothing new to me. Like, now it makes me nervous that we're gonna go through all these Resident Evil movies. It's gonna be the same goddamn shit. Maybe he, because like I said, I could see the direct comparison from Resident Evil to Monster Hunter, and that was when did Resident Evil come out?
2002. I'm pulling up the document.
You're talking 19 years ago. 19 years ago. I guess you could say he's an auteur then.
2002, yeah.
I guess you could say he's an auteur because he clearly has his, like, he has a style. And like I said, I don't know if I like it. I guess at least it's fun. Like I said, at least it's fun, but I don't know if I like it. In terms of...
I don't know if I like it, but at least it's fun. I mean, that's true, though.
Like, would I watch this again? Probably
no.
Not.
I'm so glad we could rent it and not buy it. You know,
when I was at Best Buy getting the Sonic Steelbook, it was there, and it was on sale for like
really
$15, and I'm like no. Yeah. Devin, what are you doing? Keep
don't just buy things to buy things. Calm down. Yeah, I'm with you there. Very interesting. I mean, he's got a lot of Resident Evil movies. We're spacing them out. Actually, we're doing one real soon, but it's the next one actually on her.
Did he do Mortal Kombat Annihilation?
No, just that first one.
Okay, we'll have to see, because that's another one where I can't wait to see like the difference. Because I feel like the first one was so campy and bad, but in all the right ways for the most part. And I'm just curious to see what the sequel, if they're able to match that level of weird.
So now that I have the document open, I'm gonna read you the worldwide box office of the video game movies that apparently this man directed. So, Mortal Kombat from 1995, 122 million.
That's insane in 95, by the way.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Street Fighter a year before made 99 million. So, but that was also really big. And Mortal Kombat Annihilation only made 51,
like
apparently.
There wasn't only like 2 Mortal Kombat games, I think, out at that point, right? Around 2 or 3.
It might have been.
So like the fact that like a newer thing came out and they made a movie right away and it sold that much is insane. Once again, like Monster Hunter.
Same with Street Fighter.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I just find it interesting.
But in any case, Mortal Kombat, 122 million. Resident Evil, 102 million. Resident Evil Apocalypse, 129 million. Resident Evil Extinction, 148 million.
Holy shit. So it does go up. I guess I always thought it was the other way around.
Resident Evil Afterlife, 300 million.
What?
Resident Evil Retribution, 240 million. And Resident Evil The Final Chapter, 312 million. And Monster Hunter, 29 million.
Holy shit. Why wasn't there more ads for when these Resident Evil movies were coming out? I always feel like they're on Sci-Fi Channel like a month later after they were in theaters.
Right. Oh. So,
they're making money.
Up and up and up.
So this is
I feel like for the case of that final Resident Evil movie, my assumption is because it's a long-running franchise in terms of time, right? And you say this is the last one, people are going to take note and go see it. That's why that one bumped up again. But man, why didn't they want to hold off on this movie? You know?
And maybe they wanted to, and they're just like, no, we want it out now to get it done with, kind of thing. And they did it. And maybe there was this is all speculation. We've never been in a production room. We've never been in a business room where they discuss the output of films. So this is all speculation. It's made up of pure lack of experience. I wonder if there was a handshake where it was like, look, no matter what happens in the box office, if you want to make another one, we're all in. This is COVID. You know what I mean?
Yes. But think about the artist in him and all the people that worked on this movie wanting it to succeed, wanting people to see it and be like, wow, that was cool. I'm so glad I waited till 2022 to watch a movie in theaters.
But I think they wanted it out before Monster Hunter Rise. As a branding thing, just being
obviously that makes sense. But how does this benefit Monster Hunter Rise?
I don't know if someone saw the movie, it was like, okay, they
Alright,
go
I
home and
guess.
they look up Monster Hunter and they're like, oh, new one coming out on the
There's a
Switch.
new
I have
one.
a Switch.
The demo's
a lot,
on Switch right
a
now.
lot of people have a Switch. You know what I mean? So
80 million people have Nintendo Switches.
or the other way around, where like if the movie was doing well enough, maybe at the tail end of it, it gets a slight boost when the game comes out, or when it comes out on DVD, they get a bunch of DVD sales.
Yeah, the catalyst for this movie's existence was Monster Hunter World's surprise success. I don't know if it's still the case. I assume it is. Monster Hunter World is Capcom's best-selling video game. Period.
At least top two.
The previous one was Resident Evil 5.
I know
then-
the Resident Evil 2 remake I know did really well, but I don't think it beat out World though. It still did well, but it didn't beat out Worlds. World
Capcom games
sold
don't
like
sell
crazy.
extremely well, but they make so many games, and they're all kind of niche, to a degree. Like horror games don't really sell all that well. They're kind of making a resurgence, but they still.
I mean,
don't
horror
sell all
movies
that well.
don't even sell that well.
Right.
So like, it's just it's a not a niche.
They tried
genre,
bringing
but
back their classics like Mega Man and Strider, and they do okay. You know what I mean? They make really good games. They don't sell. Square numbers. They don't sell Sega Well, Sega doesn't sell Sega numbers. I don't know.
Sonic
They're not one of
sells
the
Sega
big,
numbers.
big boys, but they make good, fun games. That I'm glad Capcom exists, and I'm so glad no one bought them yet. You know what I mean? So, but who knows? Anything can happen.
Don't even
Somebody
fucking
could
jinx
scoop
it.
up
I'm so
Capcom.
sick of that.
What did we say the other day? We were like, Capcom would make a great this game. Was it just Sonic?
Yeah,
Were
we
saying
did a
last
Resident
week?
Evil Sonic. When we did the Resident Evil Sonic episode, we're
No. I mean, like last week. I think we had legit said, who I want to see make a new Sonic game is just Capcom. I think we said that.
Yeah, I think
As long as they don't touch the
if
movies.
anyone should buy Sega, let's have Capcom buy it. Just
I mean,
merge,
'cause then-
merge, become Sagcom or something.
I'm okay with mergers.
No,
When it's
merge
two
it, make the
companies-
S a C for Capcom, and it's Sega still.
Nah, usually companies end up just merging the names.
Sega-Com.
Bandai Namco became Bandai Namco.
Sega.com.
Enix and Squaresoft became Square Enix. I think like mergers like that are okay when it's two equal players being like, hey, we're struggling, you merge, and now it's not just a big fish swallows all of the talent and intellectual
Yeah,
property.
I mean, I'm sure
from
there's still
Bethesda.
negatives
But
to it, but
remember, there's still that rumor that Sony's gonna buy Square, and that's why Resident Evil, or not Resident Evil,
Final
Fantasy VII Remake never did come to Xbox after a year like people thought it would, because they're planning on it, whatever. I don't want that to happen either. In any case, this movie sucked. So, I don't know. And do we have anything positive to say about this movie to end this on?
while I
Anything
didn't
nice to
like
say?
majority of the characters, at least the main two characters I did like. I don't know if I didn't think they grew that much. Besides, like, they stopped hating each other and beating each other up. At least it was like they were fun together. Like they had a good dynamic, but they didn't really grow in any way, which is kind of eh.
I would say
Ron Perlman looked cool, I guess.
Did he though? He's wearing like a Flintstones wig, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Did he though?
That's why he looked cool. Because I never thought I'd see
Did
Rod
he?
Perlman with long hair.
That's fair. I mean,
When I see him, I just see Hellboy without the makeup. Without the makeup.
shout out to Ron Perlman, ready to be in anything.
Yeah,
he
shout out
was
to
in
Ron.
that fucking Chronicles of Riddick video game we played.
Yeah, he went into the booth for 1 hour, read some lines, and walked out like a boss.
It was terrible.
Got paid.
But like, shout outs to him for being in that. I'll say the one thing I really liked. Well, okay, take a step back. That was me just like as just
You know
a
what?
phrase,
One thing I
I'd
really
say.
love about this, the entire film,
A
it's just
thing,
so
A
good.
positive about this movie. I'm willing to say is that like the combat against the Rathalos towards the end was really good at showing impact, even though she's slashing a couple little daggers, little tiny needles to compare to the size of this thing, and it felt like yeah, I'm doing damage. I got
The grappling
feeling
hook was
that,
cool.
Like that. Yeah. And again, that's Monster Hunter Rise's new thing. Is that like you have a grappling that you grapple on anything.
Attack on
Right.
Titan. I think that they have the grappling hooks in that.
Yeah, but I tried watching that show.
I haven't watched it. I just remember there was grappling hooks and there was a video game. I know more about the video game than I do the actual anime.
Interesting.
I've seen more gameplay than Attack on Titan.
That show goes nowhere. It just legit goes nowhere.
Just like this movie. So
yeah.
maybe that's the correlation. Just don't put grappling hooks in movies. Don't give your character aids.
I mean, that is such a video game ass thing. Freedom of movement and the thrill of moving around is Mario, right? That's such a video game esque thing. If you want to put into a movie, you gotta make it feel like you're free. And instead, it was a tool, and it wasn't used too much. It was used sparingly, and I didn't hate the parts where they used it. Now, do I feel like she had like the torque to be able to like hurl herself onto a dragon? No, but like whatever. In any case, this was episode 75, Sonic Movie Show. Your favorite podcast,
your number one, your Monster Hunter
favorite podcast,
reviewing podcast number one,
your favorite one. Now, are we Monster Hunter experts? Hell no. Are we super knowledgeable? Not in any sense of the matter. Did we beat any of them? No. How long did we play them? Maybe 30 hours.
But we watched the movie.
But we watched the movie.
All the way to the fucking end.
So you don't have to.
Yeah.
This has been episode 75. My name was Ethan. This was Devin. We're on Twitter. The show is at Sonic Movie Show.
At Monster Hunter World Show.
I am on Twitter at Ethan Absolutely. Devin is on Twitter at CURSONA YouTube. Speaking about Twitter, do you know, like, during like the police brutality protests we were having in like June, July, August, the Blockbuster Twitter account just popped in to be like, checking things out. Okay, we saw enough. Goodbye. Fucking brands on Twitter.
I don't remember
Blockbuster.
I mean, Blockbuster is dead. What do you mean?
I know.
Are you saying dead as in like you're canceled dead, or like because they're already dead? It doesn't matter.
It's like, go away. Like, you're not relevant.
Well, did you see Netflix is doing a documentary on Blockbuster? And I'm like, bro.
That's hilarious.
I saw that. I'm like,
hilarious.
Is that even legal? That doesn't feel
like
right.
Salt in the wounds. You know what? Okay, speaking about, we talked about China a bit earlier. Following someone new on Twitter, this engineer, and she was pointing out, because someone was like, oh, about like what China spends money on and blah, 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 blah. And she's like, we just built, like, for no reason, these European towns. We're just building shit. We rebuilt the Eiffel Tower.
In China, they have legal? In China they have Hallstatt, which the real one I went to in Austria. It's a beautiful town. There is a lot of Chinese tourists that go there because there's a replica version of it in China.
Yeah. And I'm watching this, and she's like, we have our own Eiffel Tower. I'm like, how is that legal?
I mean, can you copyright a landmark?
But, like, should you?
I don't know.
What I mean, that's their shit. You have your shit. China as
can
well.
I not make an Abe Lincoln memorial in my backyard if I wanted to?
The jury's still out on Lincoln. I don't know.
The movie?
One of my favorite one of my favorite conspiracy theorists is that I don't know if you would call it the FBI or whatever it was back then. They got the wrong guy, and they didn't want to admit that they got the wrong Oswald or whatever.
They were saying
the real
that
one got away
somewhere else, but that's a crazy conspiracy theory.
And I'm like, you know what?
And a lot more believable considering the time period.
Like, oh, we fucked up. Whatever. We got him. Victory is ours. Listen to our other episodes on this podcast. Goodbye.